What is good, everybody? We are here. Welcome into another edition of Major Push Wrestling, the talk show where we give wrestling the major push that it deserves. I am your host, Papa Gino Nasha, and I am here doing a solo episode today. I know you guys are missing all of the panelists. We're going to get right back to that sooner rather than later, but I am in the middle of traveling, but I could not let you guys down and discontinue sharing my thoughts on what's going on in wrestling. So, because of the travel, I've had a little bit of issue watching SmackDown and Raw and Dynamite fully throughout. But there is something that, whether or not I've been able to watch the entire every second of them or not, that I really wanted to address here. And that is the international shows for WWE. Now we know AEW does them too, but usually they're the big pay-per-view events. But as far as WWE, they do the premium live events overseas. They have their overseas tour, and they've also got the Raw and SmackDowns going on and some house show stuff. But I want to particularly be addressing the Raw and SmackDown and the premium live events. So first things first, I think that international shows on the whole are awesome to watch live. However, I think that they are better suited for a premium live event format and not the Monday and Friday night shows. Well, not night for us because it's during the day. And that's one of the reasons why I do like the premium live event on either a Saturday or a Sunday. It's on between like 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. start times. That's awesome. You get your whole night ahead of you. You don't have to wait all day for them. It's great. And the crowds really enhance the enjoyment and the viewing spectacle of these events. And I'm not really sure why we got to give WrestleMania quality cards to places like Italy, even though I'm Italian. Those people were going to show up regardless of what the card was. But they gave them that and they were entertained. I have no problem. Like I've spoken about the fact that Backlash in Lyon, France, is one of my favorite pay per views of all time because of the crowd and the way they reacted. And they were jumping up and down, they were shaking the cameras. It was fantastic. However, when we have Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown airing in the middle of the day on a work day and a work week, that stuff is very, very difficult. And then, because wrestling is one of those things where it's like, if you didn't watch it live, you might not even care that you watched it at all. And when it's on at night, when there's nothing else going on, it's a little bit easier to enjoy. It's a little bit more intentional with the viewing. Now, I'm out doing stuff all day. I don't have the time to stop in the middle of a Monday or middle of a Friday and watch the shows, even though I do have my VPNs, I have my Netflix, I have my alternative viewing methods. However, it just becomes, it almost feels like a non priority. Now, I understand that they still do air SmackDown at 8 p.m., but once it's already over and it's very clearly on tape delay and things like that, it's not as enjoyable. Like you have to stay off social media earlier. You have to stay off all the group chats and stuff for the people who are watching. And there's nothing wrong with people who are watching when it's live earlier in the day. It's my responsibility to avoid spoilers, not somebody else's who's watching a television program. That's how I look at things. Movies, a little bit different, but for TV, it's the person's job to avoid spoilers, not somebody else's job to avoid talking about the stuff that aired. So I really do find it problematic from a viewing perspective to have these international shows and so many international shows. Now, I get it. You're not going to go overseas and then come back and then go overseas again and then come back and then go overseas again and then come back. No, you're just going to stay over there. And that's fine. I get it. I'm a big fan of the wrestlers' lives being easier. and removal of house shows, travel dates, things like that is obviously better for the talent. And I am a talent friendly viewer. The corporation, the Fed, they make enough money, even though they'll convince you that they don't. So I get why they need to be over there, and I get that if it's on Netflix, you can watch it. Like, all that is fine. I just don't enjoy when it's on earlier than the 8 o'clock start times, personally, for the weekday stuff. Again, for the premium live events, fantastic. Do more premium live events over there. But here's something that I don't see people talking about that I really think is a huge factor into the quality of the product that we're getting. The more WWE goes international, the more WWE caters to an international crowd and potential new fans and viewers, the less they care about us. I'm not saying the people in Italy, the people in Barcelona, the people all over the world aren't and have not been WWE fans, WWF fans for a long time. But if WWE's US market money making ability starts to dwindle, they don't need to change anything. They can just go overseas and do the same thing that they're doing, or the same thing that they used to do in America, like with house shows and things like that. So it becomes a problem then because they're not addressing the major issues that people are having with the product. Hopefully, and it seems like, at least with a few of the characters that they're using, El Grande Americano, Chad Gable, things like that, it looks like that match that they had is not lost. The greatness of that is not lost upon the high ups. They are really trying to throw it in our face to go watch that. This is the greatest thing ever. But how do we follow that up? And if they can follow things up by changing things based on positive responses, that's what we want to see. But having a negative response and then not making any changes because, well, we're still making money, and, well, we'll just go get a market in India, or we'll go get a market in Australia, or we'll go get a market in all of Europe, all these things, right? Like, they'll probably do Tokyo shows one day. And that is going to allow their bottom dollar to remain the same without having to change anything because the people are just happy to be able to have wrestling in their city, the wrestlers in their countries, and to go to these shows, regardless of what the card looks like. But in America, and maybe this speaks to Americans as a whole, but in America, you have to hold our interest. Yeah, we got our phones and everybody's got their phones all over the world, but if you're not giving us something super compelling, you're going to have dud crowds and you're going to have dud shows. The problem with the American crowd is that a lot of the people who go don't really care. They're just taking their kids. But every single person in those arenas internationally love wrestling and they care about wrestling and they care about the product that they're watching. That is the highlight of their night, obviously, the highlight of their week, obviously, maybe even the highlight of their year, being able to attend these shows. If you look behind me, you'll see a picture of the Backlash event that I attended. I loved it. I was having a blast, save for a few Danhausen reveals that really were underwhelming at the time, at least as an in-person fan. So it just worries me though that all the good that the international crowds and shows brings, that it might be teaching WWE and TKO, especially TKO. When I say WWE, I'm really talking about TKO because they run the show and they make terrible decisions. But if they're making money, maybe it's not a terrible decision. But bean counting is not what creates professional wrestling entertainment, and not having the ability, and or you do have the ability, just refusing to build up new stars, and how like that looks going into the future, how that affects your business moving forward. You need a pipeline, as I've discussed, and they don't seem to have that pipeline. Yes, Oba is super over with the crowd in attendance for sure, but is Joe Schmo mainstream talking about Oba Femi? Not really. He beat up on Brock Lesnar and people were talking about him, but then guess what? WWE had Brock unretire or whatever the heck was going on, and then they have Oba lose. I don't care if he took 20 F5s and lost. It doesn't matter. He lost, and I don't see the point of that. How are you building your new stars up for the future? 5 years from now, who's going to be able to take him seriously knowing that he can beat somebody real quick and then they can come beat him right back up? This 50-50 booking, humble culture stuff that we've discussed in previous videos, go check them out. Very frustrating. It's very frustrating. You got Trick Williams being given stupid gingerbread stuff, and they're not sure whether they want to be a face or a heel, but the crowd wants to cheer him. Like, come on! Like, these things are, you need to strike while the iron is hot. And if you know what, and if they fizzle out, at least they fizzled out when you were making money on their hotness. LA Knight, they should have pulled the trigger on him years ago. Sami Zayn, they should have pulled the trigger on him years ago. Now, if they eventually do, it's not going to be as lucrative for the company as it would have been if they did it when these characters were at their peak. This stupid humbleness, this I have a plan for this year's WrestleMania and next year's WrestleMania, so everything we do throughout the year has to fit into that plan. It's kind of frustrating. On the whole, I don't want to lose the plot of this video. This is about my feeling towards international shows. And at the end of the day, take them or leave them, I will take them. I do enjoy the international shows. I just don't enjoy having to play catch up with the weekday stuff. The weekend stuff, you can build the whole weekend around it. You know, hey, you wake up, you have a cup of coffee, have some breakfast, go to the gym, whatever order you want to do that in, and then boom, wrestling is on. Say what you want about the quality of their events, but that's super exciting and super enjoyable for the fans there and the fans watching. And nothing enhances a wrestling event more than crowd enjoyment. You can have good matches, you can have good promos, you can have all this great storytelling, but if the crowd's not engaged and they're not with it, they're not going to like it. So, and then I, as a viewer, will see that, and we don't have as enjoyable of experience as a viewer. So that's the thing that we discussed in a previous video: TV audience versus live audience. But either way, guys, you know, I don't have the opportunity to throw it to other panelists right now. So I want to hear what you guys have to think and say. Comment in the comment section. Let me know. Am I off base? Am I on the mark with some of the stuff, but not on the mark with other of the stuff? Like, tell me what you think. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more Major Push Wrestling content. We try to go live every Wednesday, but with the travel for the next couple of weeks, it'll be difficult. But I will be getting these videos out to you. I don't really enjoy doing these alone, to be honest, but I hope that you guys enjoyed this. I love being able to share what we've got going on with you. And we're going to be bringing all the panelists back, from Evan to Noah to Uthman to Dave to Matthew to Dwayne. All these guys. We get C-Rod back, maybe Sonny, maybe Tomas. We can get some new faces in here as well, maybe Steve-O. So whatever it is, guys, please support this channel. It means the world to me. Hit that subscribe button. And as always, we'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.